All right. Hey, everybody. Tori Townley here. Welcome to the Serve Brew. I have a special mug today. Purpose Church. That is who we have on our call today. I am so excited. These guys are heroes. If you don't know Chad and Angel Dinkel or anything about Purpose Church in Baton Rouge, I promise you, you will love these guys. So please try to stalk them on social media or reach out to them. You're going to love them. Just a little bit of background. I have known Chad, I was thinking about, I think I've known Chad since I was like 5 years old. I remember their family being in church. I remember you guys like since I was little. So, and Angel, I've known you probably since I was in junior high. I have no idea. But basically all our lives. And really, Chad, you guys will hear about their story and kind of some of their ministry background. But Chad is kind of the reason that my husband found Jesus. So Josh, my husband, you guys might not know, but he was bad off on drugs and just living a crazy life. Bless my husband, he's so sweet. But he came to church and got connected, and that was a lot of the reason was because of Chad's ministry for people recovering from addiction and alcohol. So Josh found Jesus because of Chad, and also he found me because of Chad. So needless to say, these guys are my heroes. But anyway, that's the introduction that I have. I will go ahead and cut to you guys. Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
What's up? I'm so pumped to have y'all here. So if you would, I kind of gave my own background, but tell us a little bit about y'all's story, just like a little bit of personal history and then kind of where you're at now in ministry.
Okay. I guess for me, I guess I should, why am I so passionate about people that struggle with addiction? I had my own fight early on. God set me free. And I think, really committed my life to Christ, was able to break free from addiction at about in 2001. And really ever since then, I've been very passionate about helping people find freedom from addiction and people in just a bad lifestyle, they've created a mess for their lives. I'm passionate about helping them find freedom, and me and Angel joining forces because she's an incredible woman. I'm like super, I'm fun and she's super organized and fun. And so she helps me be effective because I'll just like run in circles, like really excited. And she's like, okay, we got to go here and do this. So she brings some organization to the deal. And, but we got married, we met each other, got married and together just really focused on loving people, knew that we were called to something more. She felt called to, maybe she was a missionary, and I didn't know if I was going to be a missionary or, full-time ministry, but we knew something, we were supposed to do something big as a couple. And so we've, our whole marriage has been just very focused on, the centerpiece of our marriage has been Jesus and reaching people. And, we got married in 2004, so we're coming up on 14 years. 14 years. We have two little boys, Brody and Abram. Abram is 6, Brody is 9. And we're a family, just loves people and wants to see people thrive in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything?
A little bit of my background was I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and so it was just a different culture there. I moved to Baton Rouge in 1998, and I met a Christian. It was the first Christian girl living for Jesus that I'd ever met, and there was something different. I wanted to be like her, but didn't think that was really possible because of my background and upbringing and history, and I really sought the Lord, and He changed my whole life my senior year of college. And so I guess just knowing what He could do in my life, I believe that He can do that for others. And so became passionate about that, met Chad, and just always knew that we could do greater things together for God than we could apart. And so that's kind of been our mission and our dream.
Yep.
Wow. That's so awesome, man. And you guys, y'all are a dream team for real. I love how y'all do everything together. And really, you guys just do life with people. Like, Josh and I are like part of the church now. A lot of people don't know that we moved to Baton Rouge. Surprise! I just said that on the camera. No, my husband got a job here. It's awesome. I'm working remote for ARC in Highland, so everything's cool. Don't freak out, world. But no, we're part of this church locally, and it has been just such a blessing just to be part of this family and be part of just I don't know, just being under a leadership of you guys and how much you care for the poor and the broken and the hurting. I know, like, it comes from a personal place. So you guys lead out of a personal concern. And it's beautiful. It's inspiring. Every Sunday, I'm just in awe of, like, what God's doing throughout the week. Small groups, like, just you feel like it's a family, and it's amazing. So I was gonna ask something that really sticks out to me with you guys is obviously, like, you've just been so faithful over the years, doing ministry in different settings, investing in people who are hurting and broken, and now bringing that investment and even the fruit of some of that labor already into your ministry now and starting a church. And I think the culture is so ingrained in you guys and the relationships you've already built that now it's almost like the foundation seems to already have been laid in a cool way. And now it's just flourishing like crazy. So I was going to ask you guys to speak to really, like, towards newer church planters as they're building a church and they want to have a heart for the poor and the broken, but there's also a lot of weight, a lot to get done, a lot of pressure to make sure you have everything in order. And you guys do excellent so well, but it's not based off of a pressure to perform. And I have a lot to say because I've observed it personally, so make me shut up if I'm talking too much. But just what advice would you give to guys who are looking to start something and they want to make that a priority, but they're maybe not sure how to balance both of them, if that makes sense?
You have any thoughts on that?
I do have a lot of thoughts. I think it just comes from a genuine love for people. I think that's it. I feel like that's the key. I feel like the key to life is really a humble heart and the love of people. And really, I love Philippians 2. It talks about considering others as better than yourselves. And I love it, but I've also always been challenged by it. Like, I remember the first time reading that, like, wow, is that really what we're called to? And that's hard. But I mean, even now, I feel like I do love people, but I'm always praying, God, I want to love them more. And I want to love them better than I love myself, because that's tough in the culture that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just truly, I don't know. It's so weird how God has worked in my life. I mean, I can remember where I was. I was on actually a mission trip when God set me free from, I struggled with alcohol, and it was like, I thought it was going to be a lifelong problem. And I remember God setting me free, and that's awesome. And it was, I consider it a miracle in my life. But the thing that just blows my mind is how God was able to completely change me from the type of person I was, who I was not a nice guy. I was nice to my friends, kind of. But if you were different than me, if you had, if I didn't think you were, cool or like me, I was awful. I'm most embarrassed about who I used to be with that. And the fact that God was able to completely change me to where, you had to cuss to describe me before I got saved. Like, you had to say bad words. And for people, when they, whenever I'm given the opportunity to speak somewhere, or someone, man, Chad loves people, like, completely blows my mind that God, that's all God, because you can't just decide, you know what, I'm a jerk, I think I'm going to start loving people. That's a work of God.
Yeah.
And I just love people. I love people that are different than me. I'll spend time with people that have completely different lifestyles than me. And I think that one of the keys for me is in truly helping and loving people is believing in them when they don't believe in themselves. And I don't know. It's almost like God helps me to, I don't know the future. I don't claim to know the future, but I'm pretty creative. I can see how God can, start to make, if they make some small adjustments in their lives, how their life can, be completely different with just a few small good decisions. And so just giving someone the time, sitting with them, like, do you realize if you just, broke up with her or left this job or go to this rehab, how God can completely rebuild your life, rebuild your marriage with just a few small. Is that on track for an answer for this question?
I feel like it's, yes.
Because I did get completely distracted because my kids were talking. Even though they were told not to speak, I tried to throw a water bottle cap at them. They said, "Who did that?" Didn't look at me, and I threw a pin. And finally, they got the point. They're doing good now. So.
Well, what you said really reminded me of just something that I think we saw really early on, in our marriage back, over a decade ago. We sat in groups every Friday night. I sat with women, Chad sat with men, and we heard stories. I mean, brutal stories of their lives and how they became destructive in their lives. And I think we knew all it was one bad decision. And we just had a mindset that, you know what, every single one of us are just one bad decision away from being possibly where that person is. And when you see it in that light, you love better.
Yeah.
You love
absolutely.
them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's some deep, beautiful stuff. I love how you guys, I feel like you just carry your stories with you and you never forget like where you came from, and not just personally, but also where you've walked with people through. You guys have personally jumped in the ditch with people and helped them get out. And I love that. I love how Sundays reflect that. Like every Sunday I look around and I'm just like, look how beautiful. Like there's people who are living off on the streets who are walking in and getting loved on. And there's people who are going through divorce, who are dealing with addiction, but they're taking steps forward. And even like some of the leadership team, like I know some of their stories, and I know that you guys have been with them in hurting times and really just given them an opportunity. Like you said, no matter what, like we believe in you and we're going to invest in you and let you grow. And I think taking a risk where others might look at that person and be like, oh, you're going through that, you need some time to figure your life out first. Right. You guys are like, no, like join the team. You're part of the family no matter what. And I think that is it's a sadly unique thing, but I think it's so important and so beautiful just to believe in people and bring them along with you. So if someone, like what practical advice would you have for guys, maybe even it's someone who's been leading in church for a long time, a pastor, or someone who's kind of, they're kind of bogged down with the day-to-day leadership and they're not so much able to be in touch one-on-one with people who are hurting, but they really want to break out of that. Do you have any advice for them on, hey, I really want to just be acquainted with the brokenness and looking people in their eyes, but I have so much else on my plate. What are some practical steps they can take to start kind of changing that flow?
I guess I err on the other side. I neglect a lot of things to spend time with people, which isn't good either, probably. I guess I would think that, maybe taking a step back to some basics. I think that one thing that I do that's very healthy is, every Monday night, we have transitional living. We have 3 houses for men, 1 for women. That's 31 beds. And every Monday night, the guys all get together in one house. We call it it's Restoring Purpose Ministries. We call it RPM BBQ Bible study. And I think that is going to be very helpful as we grow, because we just started. We started 6 months ago. We're a small church. It's easy for me to not lose touch at this point. But I think by me keeping some of those commitments as we grow, 10 years down the road to say, I always kept that Monday night barbecue Bible study. I think that is going to help keep me from losing touch with the hurting. And I think that's what's me being in the to this point. I was always in the addiction ministry, so it always kept me grounded or in touch with the lost and hurting. I think I led that ministry for almost 10 years at Healing Place, and I think that kept me from losing touch with the hurting. Mm-hmm. So, maybe fast forwarding, 10, 15 years as a church leader, pastor, I guess if you found yourself, man, I'm not in touch with the hurting anymore, the only thing you can do is, man, let me find some areas. Let me find some less limelight opportunities to reach those, go to an AA meeting. I went to an AA meeting 2-3 weeks ago, and it was funny. I knew a lot of the people. They're like, what is Chad doing here? Man, Chad must have slipped up, but it gets you back with the people who are hurting. And they're asking me, what are you here recruiting? I was like, no, I knew the guy speaking. He asked me to come, so I showed up. But take a step out of your normal routine. Maybe go to a Bible study, go speak at a small rehab. Give of your time to the hurting. I guess I'm not in that situation because we're so new, but I think me moving forward, if I keep some of those commitments and not detach, it's going to help me to never lose touch. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice too, even for people who aren't there yet, for you to already be foresight looking into it. Like, no, I'm going to guard this. And really, it's like, you don't have to, as a pastor, you don't have to be involved in every single thing as things grow, but just as long as you have that one outlet, that one passion, that's great practical advice, and it's doable, and it keeps you in touch. And I love, obviously I love this, but like on Sundays, you guys will share a story of someone whose life has been changed, and it can be anybody, like worship leader. It can be Mr. Clyde. I loved that one on Sunday. I'll let you share that soon. But just you guys keep that message and that victory in front of people. And I was reading today one of the verses in the Bible. It says just to keep the story for generations to come. Like, keep telling the story of what God's done in people's lives. And that just brings hope, and it makes things real. It keeps it in front of all of us. So whether you were directly in touch with it or not, you're still part of it. So I think you guys do such an incredible job keeping that. And then I wanted to ask too, you guys are obviously, like you said, 6 months old as a new church plant, but you're kind of a conundrum because you also have discipleship homes and phase 3 type outreaches. We've been talking a lot. Pastor Dino's new book, Serve Your City, is out if anybody wants to look it up. It's on the ARC website, but it talks about the phases of outreach and how, you start small, you start simple, something like a serve day, all call, whatever, and then you kind of move into like a sustained, consistent presence in the community, and then it's permanent, like a building or discipleship program or whatever. So it's crazy to me that you guys kind of have the whole spectrum covered in a different way. So if you maybe would talk about the first phase and kind of what does outreach look like for Purpose Church, and then we'll talk about the discipleship RPM houses after that. But like, talk about what you guys have been doing, the pop-up outreaches, what's coming up for Serve Day. There's a lot of fun stuff at PC. I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, my question asking lasts like 10 minutes. I just combined them all, and then I'm like, hey, you guys figure it out.
I follow you. So yeah, we started doing a lemonade outreach. We're in a downtown area, and at lunchtime, there's just a lot of people around, government workers from the court, from the different departments around here. So yeah, we started, I guess a few months ago, we did our first, it was right after Mother's Day, I guess was our first. We actually ordered these nice cups for Mother's Day, and we ordered twice as much as we needed so that we could give them out to the public. And we just did lemonade and sweet tea, and gave it out, just trying to make our presence known in the neighborhood or in the area. So we did that, and we're working on a few other outreaches. Now, what other we did litter pickup. We also picked up litter all over the downtown area. Yeah. What else did we do?
Well, we started in January, and so a couple of weeks later, it was Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah. That was the first one.
Yeah, that was the first one, and most of them have been that outreach to that lunch group that's everyone's out of their offices walking around. It's really a great opportunity, and so we gave out cards inviting them to church with Valentine's candy.
Yeah,
candy. And so that was cool.
And then we did Easter candy. We had Easter eggs.
We did.
Yeah, we were a little childish, but I thought they would think that it was funny. We put candy inside of Easter eggs and gave them out to the business people.
Yeah.
Because every business person wants an Easter egg with candy in it.
It's really remarkable how people are touched by like that no strings attached.
Yeah.
Like they're looking for you to ask them for something or
how much is the lemonade?
Anything, a question or a catch. And when there's not one, a life is really touched.
Yeah.
And just to tie in for a second with the previous question too, like that's your hurting community. Like just to get out there with those small acts of kindness, those that are hurting are going to open up and to listen to their story helps so much.
Absolutely.
But yes, the lemonade was a hit a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. And so, some of the outreaches we're planning on, we really haven't, with launching the church and everything, we've been really just trying to get our legs under us and get this thing figured out, which I hear never happens. But we're hopeful. But we have some different outreaches we're planning across the river in West Baton Rouge. There's a huge traffic issue. All the different plants, they're leaving work, and it's causing huge traffic issues. So we're working on partnering with a business that will help fund it, but we're going to buy energy drinks and go car to car in the bumper to bumper traffic, giving out, just trying to reach out. Cause I mean, it's the end of the day, you're tired, traffic is horrible. I don't know anybody that likes traffic. And, you're tired from the day, and I don't know, the energy drink thing was, pump them up, amp them up so they can go home and give their family some love, and have something to give their family after being tired all day. It's the thought for that.
Do you want to talk about Serve Day?
Yeah, so Serve Day, Saturday, we're excited about that. It's our first Serve Day as a church, and the best Serve Day that Purpose Church has ever done. That's the great thing about your first year as a church. Everything is the best. We had our best Mother's Day, our best Easter, best Father's Day. You'll never experience a better one at Purpose Church than the ones this year. So maybe next year. But so Serve Day, we're excited about that. We have several different things. We partnered with a school that's for kids that are in poverty. It's a boarding school that just started up. We're going to do some different projects there, and that's a cool one. It's just a matter of us showing up. They had resources already there for it. They just need some manpower. So we're going to show up and do that. We're going to do a neighborhood party. I think we're gonna have hot dogs. We partnered with a local new startup company. They're gonna provide cotton candy and some other things.
And a unicycle.
What's that?
We hope so.
Unicycle.
Oh yeah, hopefully we'll have a unicycle.
Yes.
The CEO of it is a unicycle rider. He's also my brother. So Tori's hopeful that he's gonna have that out there. We're going to do something with the homeless. We're working that out right now. And then we're doing something called the Cool Outreach. And so a local business gave us, they had a bunch of leftover, those cool towels that you like put them in water and you pop them and you put them on your neck and it cools you down. We're going to go to LSU lakes where they're running and everybody's hot. It's hot here if you didn't know. It's very hot in Baton Rouge. And so we're calling that the Cool Outreach. So that's our Serve Day.
Woo! And you guys are going to rally that morning, right?
What's that?
You're going to rally that morning too. Correct?
Yes, yeah. And we're going to be outdoors. We have this little town square area with the stage and all that. So we're going to do a little rally that morning, some acoustic worship, and just have some donuts, some breakfast, and get together as a team before we go out.
I love it. And I can't go without saying that Lawrence is going to sing the Servolution song. He's going to kill it.
I hope so.
I'm prophesying right now. It's going to happen. We have a friend who wrote the Servolution song. There is a Servolution song. It's official. And he's pretending that he lost the lyrics, but he didn't.
And he didn't lose them. There's no way.
He knows them.
In fact, I was riding with him the other day, and I heard him singing it. I was like, were you just singing the Servolution song?
He was singing.
No.
Oh, Lawrence. You didn't. That's cool. I'm so excited. And you guys, I want to be there so bad on Saturday, but I'm going to be in Colorado for the massive Serve Day. They have 60 churches doing Serve Day together, big hoopla. So it's going to be fun, but my heart is
that's cool.
But anyway, I'm repping my new Serve shirt. It's
yes.
I'm pregnant, so let me.
I love it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Too. I bought it 2 weeks ago and it's already tight. But anyway, no, I'm so excited. So many cool ideas, and I love how it's just I know the team, we just get together and we dream up some stuff, and everybody brings a little something to the table, like Corey and his unicycle, or Miss Deb with her little cool towels. There's like a glow stick thing. That's so awesome. But I love how it's just fun. It's a family thing, and it's going to grow from there, and I'm excited to see what God does with it. I was going to say, sorry, I have so many notes because there's so many different ways that we can talk. You guys have so much, like, just such a wealth of love for the poor and the broken, and I wish you'd write a book. So I'm gonna help you do that one day.
Wish I'd write a book. I can't even read.
Okay, I'll just
Hey, you'll help me with that.
grab what you say. We'll go there. No, but that's so cool. So tell us about. We've got Serve Day, the pop-up outreaches, love it. Everybody's just active and enjoying it, bringing stuff to the table. And then from that, there's also the discipleship aspect. So if you guys could just kind of give a little bit more detail on what those houses look like, kind of how they came to be, how it got started, and then some advice if a church kind of has that bent and is looking to start like a phase 3 ministry, whether it's a drug addiction or anything else, what would be some practical steps they can take to get to that point?
Yeah. So that was, God really spoke that to me. I was on a mission trip in Russia. I've gone to Russia a couple of times, and I just love that place so much. So much of what we're doing now is things that God spoke to me on those trips. But the way they plant churches in Russia, so the one we're connected to is Christian Center. So they have Kemerovo Christian Center, Kaliningrad, St. Petersburg. They're all over Russia. But the way they plant churches is they launch a rehab in the city they want to go to, and then they start the church out of that. And so their rehabs are really, they look more like our transition houses, or most people would call them halfway houses, sober living homes. So they start that house in that area, whether they just rent an apartment for the guys or buy a piece of property. And so I saw that and I was like, wow, they're like really investing in the community and starting that before they plant a church. And just thought it was neat. Well, God spoke to me and said, that's how you're going to be, that's how you're going to launch your church. And so, man, God, it's a long story. It's actually a very good story, but God, opened the door for us to open our first house. And so that started going. We were able to have nine beds for guys getting out of rehab. Cause for years I've helped men and women get into rehabs, but always struggled with, there was nowhere for them to go when they got out of rehab. So there was nowhere for them to come home to get settled. That was really conducive to what God did in their lives at the rehab they were at. Because a lot of the rehabs we send people to are faith-based. And so we opened that, and then actually launched a second one before we launched Purpose Church. Mm-hmm. But there's so much that did for us. We're already doing what a lot of churches hope to do one day by starting that first. It was more realistic to start that first than now. Like, we couldn't afford to do that now, but it was already established. And now that it's there, we have the infrastructure, and it's going to be very easy for us to grow that program because we have that established. But the cool thing I didn't see what that was going to do for us is, so the guys are paying a weekly fee. Mm-hmm. And so we use that to cover the overhead, so that anybody that may donate per month, that goes to strictly helping people get to rehabs or get on their feet when they get out. But there was margin with what the guys paid and what, the overhead was. So even before we started, we were able to hire our first full-time staff member, which while Angel was working full-time she's a speech therapist in the schools, it gave me someone that was good at admin and was extremely helpful in us launching the church. But it's been really cool just to have that available as a church. Yeah. You have anything you want to add to that? Anything I missed?
No, there are a lot of thoughts.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool. Me and Angel and I, when we first got married, we were both involved in the addiction ministry, and my dream was to open a rehab, and we were working towards that. But I'm not one that likes to sit around and wait. I'm pretty ambitious and not really scared to do something. So I was like, you know what, babe, we got to buy an Airstream trailer and let drug addicts live behind our house. And so we did that. You know, my wife, you know, we had a half acre of land in kind of a country, I guess, area of our area over here in Baton Rouge. And we bought an Airstream trailer and let one guy live there. I was like, man, I know that if I could just give him a place to live, we can help him get free from this. So he lived there. And then another guy lived there after that. And her parents probably thought I was crazy. I'm like, you can't help who lives next door to you. What's the difference to them living behind my house? And so that was our first attempt at and it's cool. One of the guys, the second guy that lived there is still, he's an addiction counselor now, helping people get their lives on track and still know him. Still, I'm able to send people, guys that are struggling, men and women that are struggling with addiction. I have an inside guy at that rehab so that was our first big move into ministry, was a travel trailer in our backyard. Straight up country.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to do that. That's super cool. Y'all just got
And it had to be an Airstream trailer. That was the only kind of trailer that would be acceptable.
Oh, dude, that must have been before the curve, because now those things are like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's so cool. Do you still have it? Can I buy it from you?
No, it's funny. We sold it to someone, and man, last year they contacted me and they're like, hey, we never got a bill of sale. So I was like, yeah, they fixed it all up. So I was like, part of me wanted to be like, well, it's still mine, give it back, or I'm gonna call the cops. But I filled out the bill of sale and let them take it. So.
Oh, that's so funny. Gosh, yeah, that'd be cool to have. Crazy.
Yeah.
So that's super cool how, like, you guys started the church based on an outreach type ministry and outreach heart for the poor and the broken and the hurting. So that's just like super cool to me. Like, it can be successful if you take a risk and follow God's heart for the hurting.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say though, like, do you ever feel like there's kind of a fear of putting so much emphasis on the ones who lack that, or are you ever afraid that there's going to be lack for the church to provide for those needs? How do you balance that?
Yeah.
That's something that I know it's a big thing. It's real, hard, but
yeah, that was definitely a concern of mine with launching, because we launched in the city I was already that we live in, and already had a reputation in town. I'm the go-to guy for addiction, and so immediately the thought was, we're starting a rehab church. We're starting a church for drug addicts. And that was the assumption of the public. And at first, I think I allowed that to affect what we were doing in our launching phase. Yeah. I started to kind of deny who God created me to be and started to deny the people God called me to. Mm-hmm. And so I was really fighting that stigma. And then it was one of our launch meetings. I think it was maybe our second or third one. One of the questions that came was, this is church for drug addicts? And, I thought about it. I was like, well, no, we're a church for normal people, and we help drug addicts. And so I got up in front of the team or the people we were trying to become, or that we wanted to become a part of the team. And I said, you know what? We had this question, actually a great question. And we unapologetically are a church for drug addicts. We're a church for people struggling with sexual identity. We're a church for the broken, for the poor. And, there's enough churches that really are for churchy people. There's enough churches that are, if we're just creating a new place in Baton Rouge for good Christian people to gather, then what are we doing? So, no, yeah, we're for the broken. We're for the hurting. We're for the homeless. We're for the poor. My brother, he said it best. We were consulting with another church on security and stuff. And, I think y'all should have a homeless section over here just to keep them over here. And my brother said, in his own language, he said, forget that. I hope they sit next to me. And that's who we are as a church. We love the hurting. We love the lost. We have healthy people that come, but we're Purpose Church. And our purpose is to help the lost be found. It is like, it's I think it's called the Great Commission, maybe, go and make disciples. I knew that was for dramatic effect. I knew that's what it was called. But that's what if we're a new church in town and have a mission, it's to reach the lost and hurting. Yeah. And I believe that the healthy that come along, they're not probably as healthy as they would like to think. They're going through life and they're working, they're doing good in their families, but there is sometimes a lack of purpose, and we're giving them purpose in their health to reach out to those that are unhealthy out of their mess. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. But the balance is there. Like my preaching, it's way easier for me to preach to the broken and hurting, to speak to issues. And so I have had to balance-wise in our message. Now, right now we're serve-focused, but I have had to make effort in making what we communicate from the stage more broad, so that a healthy person, it's not a waste of time for them to be there.
Right.
So that there was a shift there for me. So I have several people that I trust that kind of hold me accountable. Like, hey, it's feeling like an addiction. That felt like an addiction service. Early on, I had a few comments like that. So there is some effort there, so that we're investing into families, into relationships, into people's relationships with God. And so we're not just preaching to issues on Sundays. Right?
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah.
It's deep, so deep. And I like that. I have so many notes, people. I would say, like, there isn't a separation on Sundays or in general, whatever we're doing. I don't know who's who. I don't know if that's a guy who's in the RPM house or if that's so-and-so. Like, it's all integrated. The dream team is full of people who are serving. And like, there's a guy who's living on the streets, addicted, but he's out there setting out signs on Sundays. He's there every single Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Like, it's beautiful, but no one knows who's who. It is a picture of heaven. It's diverse. It's beautiful. I love that. And it's not, I don't know, it's unique, but I think it's something that everybody can strive for if we're connected to the heart of God, like you guys are. And just thank you for leading the way and showing how that can be done, and it's successful. And I'm guessing you would say that the church hasn't suffered for being focused on the poor and the hurting. It's probably blessed even more for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. And I think it's cool that you talked about your sermons on Sundays. It's like, it's not that you're the poor versus the ones who are okay, but it's just there's an expansion of understanding on what hurting is. So relationships are a least of these situations just as much as homelessness or addiction. So it's like, it's cool. There's an expansion of compassion and understanding there, which is such an honor. And I struggle with that too. Like, oh, they got it all together. They don't need me. What am I doing here? No, like they do. You just got to press in. So that's really cool.
And that's been the biggest thing that shocked me, because, I was always a part of ministry. Yeah, I'm addicted to drugs. We talk about that. It's been very eye-opening to me to see how much normal people are hurting, and how it's been very shocking to me.
Yes.
So
yeah. Even on the small group I went to last week with you, Angel, like I haven't really sat in anything like that in quite a while since moving, and I was just mind blown too. Like, wow, these ladies are going through really deep stuff too. And I probably would have never hung out with them if I would have just stayed to my little dream center world. Like, that's hurting too, but it's a different thing. And it did my heart well to be like, wow, I'm walking through life with people who are hurting in different ways than I've really known before. So just really cool that it's just so seamless. It's so, it brings people together. What was that story you guys shared about the guy who came to the crawfish boil? He, like, I don't know, he had like his house arrest anklet on and talking about being part of a family. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was cool. Sorry. I don't know.
Funny. No. I was listening to a message that Pastor Matthew Barnett did, and he was giving all these, and I think it was being funny, but he was giving all these different scenarios, how you know if you're an outreach church. He said, if you have an usher that has an ankle bracelet because he's on house arrest, you're an outreach church. Well, we don't have an usher. He's actually our lighting guy. And so, he's on house arrest or has one of those bracelets. Yeah, so that's, and you talked about this earlier, taking risks on people.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important, and you really have to kind of erase or unlearn what we've all been taught as far as what church leadership should look like, who should be helping in churches, who shouldn't. And so I've kind of gone against a little of that teaching and just taken a risk on people. Everybody that's hurting already feels like, you lie to yourself. I got to clean up my life before I can go to church. And when we restrict what they can be a part of, we're really adding to that thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a line there. I think there's a line between being careless and taking risks. I know that the pastor that took a risk on me, he gave me opportunity way before he should have. He was letting me be in charge of setting up chairs and the sound system. But most people wouldn't say, "Hey, Chad, I want you to be a leader in our ministry." But him doing that, it gave me something to belong to. And so, my struggles when I would mess up or make a bad decision, that opportunity kept me coming and being a part, which led to my freedom. And so I want to do that for others. I never want to get to a place where, we're big enough, we can afford to staff this. We're going to hire the best of the best. I hope we always stay true to taking risks on people and giving them opportunities. And so our lighting guy, he's made some bad decisions. He's a great guy. He's so interesting. He's not quite a believer. We had a conversation the other day, and I was asking him some questions. I was like, "Did you just get saved?" And he's like, "No, not yet." But I mean, we're friends. He loves me, and I love him. And he said sometimes I'm the only person that texts him, but he's feeling valued. He's a part of the team, and it's going to change his soul. It's going to change his eternity, because we said, I don't care if you have an ankle bracelet. I don't care where you are. You can help us with our lights.
I love that. And I think we just believe that's, if we want to be like Jesus, that's exactly, I think, what he would do and what the gospel paints the picture of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Woman at the well. I mean, right after he calls her out on all the husbands and guys she's living with, immediately she goes into ministry and gets her town and makes a huge impact on her city. Jesus didn't say, you have to go through, we have growth track. I believe in growth track, but you got to go through this growth track process first. And after 6 months of proving yourself, we're going to give you an opportunity. How about that, buddy? Oh, it's like, go and sin no more. She goes out and changes her city. There was no timeline. So I look at Jesus. I want to be like him. Yep. Josh is more like, your husband is a little more, he's got the beard and the Jesus look.
He's more like
I could be like chubby Jesus. I'm going to be chubby Jesus. I'm going to grow my beard out, and I'm going to be chubby Jesus.
Not chubby Jesus, I promise.
That's strange now.
Funny. No, it's so cool. It's true. I keep referring to what I've seen, but on Sundays I've talked to several leaders or people on the team, and they're just like, I cannot believe that Chad and Angel would trust me to be on the team and lead. I can't believe that Chad called me and talked with me for so long and invited me to be part of this, knowing where I'm at. But you can just see the evidence and the fire of Jesus that's in their hearts because they were believed in and because they were given purpose, a place to live in it. And it's kind of just sealed their identity. Like, okay, I'm in this. Someone took a risk, just like Jesus did with the disciples. Hey, y'all are out there being punks, but come follow me. That's it.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's real. It's real. And I think fresh is best sometimes. There's a fire in a new Christian or someone who's just giving their life to Jesus again. Anytime I hear a testimony like that, I feel like I get saved all over again. So letting that fire be part of something that leads the charge, there's so much passion in that church because people are so in touch with what just happened in their redemption. And it's contagious. For me, I've been saved since I was 5 or younger. I don't even know. But I feel like I get saved every time because, Mr. Clyde just gave his life to Jesus. Olivia's back in action and she's loving her life. And it's the coolest. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So with that, I know we're kind of getting towards the end, but tell me maybe just each of you guys can take a turn. Maybe one of your favorite life change stories. It can be anything, but just one of your favorite favorite story so far? It can be the church or the past, whatever. Sorry, that's a tough one. Y'all have so many.
I've got, for me, I mean, it's kind of a couple, but really, I got to know the wife first, and I met her when we had already done all of our interest social meetings. We hadn't yet met them. And then, we did the walkthrough of the facility. Everyone was coming through where we would have church in a few months, and we toured the venue. And that was the first time I met this girl. It was the first time that she and her husband came. They were invited, and just kind of met her like we met many other people. Didn't know if they'd come back. And then we took the whole team through 4 weeks of growth track. After that, they came all 4 weeks, got to know her a little better. The last week was join a team. And so I was representing the children's team, and Michelle came. And that's really when I really got to know her a little bit better, but never dreamed like what God had in store. I needed this girl in my life. And so she just kept being there, and I consider her one of my very best friends. Like, I know she's there for me. She has my back. She's praying for me, and I love this girl. So I developed such a good relationship. But not only that, I'm watching God transform. Her marriage was in trouble. We featured her and her husband's story at our Easter service on a video testimony. And I just thought, here God's bringing me this friend, but really God was changing her life the whole time. And so she is a transformed girl, and I am better because of her and her husband. I don't know what I would do without her.
Yeah. So they were on our launch team, went through, they came to that tour, then we did 4 weeks of growth track, and they came to all of that. We did a practice service. And he was struggling with addiction. And so he left right after that, the day after our practice service, went to rehab for 3 months. And so that whole time, she's completely committed to the team. I mean, here first, leaves with us after, came to lunch almost every Sunday with us after church. And we had the idea of telling their story on Easter, which would be his very first Sunday to attend Purpose Church. And so we drove up to Shreveport, the rehab he was at, and we recorded his testimony, and God was doing so much in his life and did her perspective. And so their first Sunday together at the church was on Easter Sunday. So it was, and that's one of those like historic moments of our church. It's like, because you look at the addiction, are we an addiction church? Well, drugs have become such a widespread problem. It's not just poor, like some guy off in the corner under a bridge doing drugs. It's senators' sons. It's
nobody knew. His wife didn't know.
These are professionals, and they were fighting this addiction epidemic that no one is immune to that. It can happen to anybody. That opens those doors, and so that has been one of the best stories so far.
Yes. And this is really like Purpose Church is their first church experience ever, and so we're so grateful to have them on board, and I hope that we've been helpful to them. I think we have. I know God's done a complete miracle in their lives.
Yeah, amazing.
Wow. Are you talking about Michelle? Like,
yeah. Michelle and Danny, they're on the lead team. Yeah.
I love them so much. Me and Josh always talk about how cool they are. Like, man, those guys are so down to earth and awesome. I had no idea like what the whole story was, so that's amazing.
Yes, they're the real deal.
That's so cool. They're genuinely incredible people. My friend. We were random. Last week we were talking about figs, and Michelle goes, "I like fig Newtons." I was like, "What?" I was not eating a fig. That's a fake fig. But I love her to death. Random fun facts. She's just funny. She's the best. That's so cool. Okay, I got 2 more little questions. One is, what is like a fresh dream on y'all's heart for personal life or ministry that people who watch this can be praying, joining us in prayer for? Fresh dream, fresh something. What you got?
Fresh dream.
Fresh dream or prayer request, whatever. Just, What can we believe for?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking.
We two of those. We when we were searching for a venue, I have it written down somewhere. I got in like almost 50 no's of where we could meet. I was getting very frustrated. I was like, there's nowhere for us to have a church. No one's going to let us use it. The place we're at right now is literally the only people that would let us have the space consistently. And so, but in that, I went and talked to this one guy that had a warehouse, and we started developing a friendship. It wasn't going to work for a temporary venue, but he wants to sell us his building. And so I've just gotten to be friends with him, and I haven't, obviously we don't have any money, so I haven't been adamantly pursuing it, but just, talking to him. We've thrown around some different ideas of how it could be possible. And it's like it's getting more and more realistic, but it still is going to take 100% God to make this happen. But it's getting realistic that we could have a permanent location exactly where we want to be here in Baton Rouge. So, I need God to show up. It's like $2 million or so, but it's a cool opportunity, perfect place, exactly what I would dream and want. So we need God to show up on that for sure.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be praying for that. I saw it and it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's got so much character and some weird things, but there's some weird stuff in that building, but it's super cool. And just like you can feel the history and the character behind it. And it's just like there's going to be a story written through that. So I'm believing, and everybody who's watching, please join us. It's going to be cool. Just keep praying and believing. So thank y'all for sharing that. And then one more thing, is there any final word of wisdom or advice that you guys want to share to our viewers? Like I said, most people who watch are part of a church team, whether they're pastor, outreach leader, or just someone who's serving on the team. Anything to encourage them? Final thoughts.
I think, being a lover of people is not always easy. You're going to get bit. You're going to get burned. Loving those that are hard to love, it's a challenge. And it's not always going to be fun or pretty. But people are the way they are for a reason. Something happened, something caused it. And just really seeing past that and choosing to love them through their unloveliness or whatever.
Sure,
it's be a lover of people, commit, and know that you can't be choosy. I mean, you have to love the lost and broken, yes, but you also have to love those that they've been taught this kind of legalism or and you have to love through that, and those people matter to God. So I don't think we need to be picky on who we love. We just have to love people even when they're hard to love. Sometimes you lose track of, it's easy to love those that are broken, but sometimes loving the straight-laced Christians that are kind of set in their ways can be a little more of a challenge, but we have to love people.
Yeah.
Is that a good closing word? I don't know if it was. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's good. I feel like, we're just in the beginning, so I'm sure that we've felt discouraging moments. I'm sure there will be many more to come, more than we know, but to try to just focus on all the wonderful things God is doing. Like you see his hand and how he's working, how he's for the local church always. I believe in the local church. He's for it. He loves people. And so in those discouraging moments, I just try to remind myself, yes, that was discouraging, but look at all God's done. Yeah. And I hope that we can continue to see that, see his hand and remember that.
Yeah, beautiful. I would just say, I wrote down, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you guys have loved me, because you've loved Josh. I've been inspired to love other people and to give back and to invest as much as I can into other people's lives. And so just personally, I'm a testimony of, hey, you guys believed and gave me a place to be part of the family, a place at the table. And it's changed me. And I've been in it for a long time, but just there's something so refreshing about being able to do life and being loved. And I know that that comes with a sacrifice and a cost. Your family is always doing stuff. You're always just responding to people and loving people. So just know, like, it's making a difference. I wouldn't have a husband if it weren't for y'all. And a lot of people wouldn't be where they were today if it weren't for that. And it's contagious. So you're not the only ones carrying the load, because you love, other people learn how to love. So thank y'all personally for investing in that. Y'all are heroes for real. And I hope that everybody who's watching this is just really encouraged. And if people have questions for you guys or want to connect further, whether it be RPM houses, discipleship questions, outreach, whatever, just a friend, Gabe George, you better reply to that email. Anyway, how can they get in touch with you?
So my email address is chad@purposechurch.co. And then Angels is angel@purposechurch.co.
Cool.
And of course, social media, it's pretty simple. Chad Dinkel, Dinkel, Angel _Dinkel, Dinkel, yeah.
Cell phone number?
Yeah, 225.
We will.
I've had the same number since 15 years old. People have my number, but I don't want to have my number.
Yeah, don't share that. I was just kidding. Some people have, but I don't recommend it. That's just general. Cool. Well, if it's all right with you guys, I'll pray, and then we will close it out. All right.
Thank you, Tori.
Thank you so much.
Jesus, I just thank you so much, Father, for this wonderful, wonderful family, Jesus. I thank you for Chad and Angel and how they've just been so faithful to seek your voice, God, and to be obedient to you, God. And I thank you that because of their story, many more lives are being changed, many more stories are being written. And I pray for everyone who gets a chance to hear this conversation today, God, that their hearts will be inspired and that they'll just take this advice and this information, this encouragement to go back to their own homes and their own families, their own communities, and make a difference too. I pray for all the people who don't know you yet, God, that you'll just use us as tools and voices to make a difference and bring the lost home, bring them to your heart. Just bless and provide for Chad and Angel and their dreams, God, and the new building and finances, resources, everything they could ever need, God. I just pray that you anoint them and provide, and let this be the best year yet, God. Year 1 was great, but year 2 is going to be even better. We love you and praise you in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, thank y'all so much. Thanks to Brody and Abe for being so wonderful. They did not make a peep. Good job, team. Cool. Well, y'all have a great week. We love you. Do what?
I said thank you for all of your encouragement. We love you.
I love y'all too. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Have a good one.